Welcome to the Law of Attraction, how to become more unattached so you can manifest more of what you want. In this video, I'm going to share first a little bit about how the quote-unquote Law of Attraction works, a little bit of the science behind it. Then I'm going to dive into what some people do wrong and how you can get it right. All of us want to manifest all the desires that we have more easily. Now, in a lot of videos and gurus and programs and courses, they teach you about the power of visualization, of visualizing what we want so that we can manifest it and go after it. And that's all well and good. But the truth is that there's something that can get in the way with manifestation. And that's when we don't know how to intelligently integrate our emotions into the manifestation experience. What do I mean by that? Manifesting can be a tricky thing. It can also be very easy as well. But once you get this, it'll be much clearer. When we want to manifest something, there are times that we're wanting to create something in our life, but we're creating from an energy of disappointment, struggle, resentment, resistance, or other quote-unquote, I'm going to say, negative emotions. In order to manifest, we have to kind of understand a little bit of the, I'm going to call it quasi or pseudoscience behind the art of manifestation, okay? Most manifesting theory is based in these concepts of quantum physics, which I'm not going to get deep into quantum physics, and I know that this is a controversial topic, but I am going to share a basic tenet. The idea that pretty much across the board is that when we are elevating our emotional state and we are vibrating at a higher level, meaning that the signals that we're sending out into the world are higher vibe, they're more coherent signals, that we have coherency in our heart signals, that there's congruency in how we're feeling, the emotional state we're in, and what we're creating and saying and putting out into the world. When there's congruence and coherency with that, then we're quote-unquote higher vibe, vibrating at a higher resonance, and we resonate with things in the world that are on that same frequency, right? So if we're, for example, feeling really negative and angry and rageful, then we're probably going to attract more people and situations that are more aligned with rage and anger and that type of lower frequency energy. Same goes with, when we're at a high frequency, when we're vibrating love and gratitude, then we're more likely to create more experience of love and gratitude. Now, how does this relate to manifesting? Well, when we're trying to manifest, a lot of times we can say, all right, I want this outcome. I want to have, let's use something that people typically want to manifest. I want to make more money in my business. But they're operating from the energy of not enough. I'm not making enough money. I'm feeling scarce in my business, so I want more and I want to manifest more, so I'm going to focus on more, more, more. But they're focusing on more, more, more from that energy of scarcity and resentment. And so they're out of congruency with the thing that they're trying to create. Mostly because, and this is the key thing here, they're attached to that outcome. In other words, it's like, well, if I don't get that, then I won't be this thing. Like if I don't get that, then I won't be safe. If I don't make money, then I won't be successful. If I don't have a successful business, then people won't like me and they won't respect me. So there's this attachment to the vision because there's a belief that if you don't have it, then you'll be worse off. You'll be less than, you'll be struggling or hurting, or it would be bad or wrong somehow. So what ends up happening is that we get attached to this thing like, it has to happen. I have to manifest this. It needs to work for me, right? And we get so attached that attachment is kind of lowering our vibration. So what we want to do is actually get unattached while still holding the vision of the thing. It was hard for me to learn how to do, and I still have to practice how to do it. So how do you do it? Well, in my opinion, the way you do it is you separate. What I mean by that is you want to separate the need and the current state from the vision. All right, so I'll come back to what that looks like. So the solution is to, in my opinion, first get to neutral, and then from neutral, build up the dream without getting attached to it. Okay, so what does that look like? It means, first and foremost, it's going to sound counterintuitive. It means going into the quote unquote negative emotions. It means coming to face with the fear, with the scarcity, with the not good enough, with whatever it is that you're resisting. It's about embracing that thing, that resistance. It means what I call, my mentor, Nanilea Diamond, who introduced this term to me, calls going to the basement. Going to the basement, this is a concept that she's taught me, and also from books like Busting Loose from the Money Game, The 12 Stages of Healing. There are lots of different contexts within which I've learned this and I've started to practice this. And essentially what it means is facing the monster, looking under the bed, pulling the monster out from under the bed and saying, all right, let's go. And really, it's not even about fighting the monster. It's just about facing it and ultimately, believe it or not, embracing it and loving it. I know that sounds crazy, but what that looks like is feeling the feelings fully, like going into facing the fear. What is the fear? All right, well, if I think about it, I have a fear that if I don't make money, I'll be hungry out on the street. All right, let's examine that fear. Let's really feel what it would feel like to be hungry, homeless, out on the street. Oof, that's really scary. And maybe even calling up the emotions associated with that. What do you remember? When was the last time you were hungry and scared and lost and afraid? And really taking the opportunity to feel those feelings, face them fully, and then from that place of facing them fully, letting them go and saying, all right, I am releasing this fear, right? I'm letting this go. I am tapping into my power, and start to like really bring in your power into your body. Feel what it feels like to bring power and positive energy into your body, like bring gratitude, bring abundance, whatever energies you want to cultivate, start to practice them. I personally have an abundance meditation that I practice every single day. Why do I do that? To practice the feelings of abundance, because I know that when I'm feeling abundant, I'm likely to attract more abundance, but it has to come from that unattached, neutral place. It can't be like, oh, I have to have abundance or else I'll be, I have to resist this other thing. Is this making sense? I hope it is. Now, by the way, before I finish us off and tell you the final strategies for doing this unattachment for manifestation, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and please post a comment below. So there's 3 strategies that I associate with what I just shared with you. The first is what I call equanimity. Equanimity is where you're basically able to hold 2 paradoxical things at once. It allows you to be more neutral, more in that, what Nanilea also calls your sacred third, meaning instead of, okay, either I'm hungry and I'm homeless and life is horrible, or I'm living like a king and everything is amazing. These are the 2 polarities. It's really about moving beyond the polarity and holding, like, I could be with either of these. Like getting to a place where you can get neutral, I know this sounds crazy, about either outcome. Like, can you let it all go? And that leads me to strategy number 2, which is think of it as putting it all on the altar. Putting it all on the altar is basically surrendering and letting go and saying, all right, I'm going to trust whatever happens is perfect. Now, I know that that's a big step, but that's a big part of you physically being able to let go of an attachment to a certain outcome, a certain romantic partner, a certain dollar figure, a certain client that you must have, right? Like putting it on the altar and saying, I'm going to trust whatever outcome, I'm going to let it go. And then finally, a practice, which I kind of shared earlier, is what I call worst case scenario. Like going down the rabbit hole of following your fear all the way to the worst case scenario, and then just being with, imagining that worst case scenario happening and making peace with it. Just going all the way there, and then trust me, when you do that, there will be an alchemizing of that fear, and it will move through you. The thing about it is, in the world of manifestation, what we resist persists. So as long as we're fearful and we're not looking at something and we don't want to admit the fear, it's going to keep operating there under the surface. We want to bring light to the thing, face it head on, pull the monster out from under the bed, and love it. I hope this video was helpful for you in finding ways to become more neutral and unattached so that you can manifest more beautiful, amazing things in your life. If you're interested in learning more about how to apply these concepts to business, you can check out my Superstar Business Breakthrough Retreat at superstarbusinessbreakthrough.com. Thanks.